Well, I will say that, and we're going to get to a lot here today because there's a ton we've got to touch on. The main differences that we're going to be battling through, but the first one I think that we're going to get to right now, just to start off the bat, is Robert Saleh and Aaron Glenn, and specifically with the two, they couldn't be more different. Now, I've seen this like where players have people have taken players taking shots at Robert uh, uh, read between the lines of what players have said as them taking shots at Robert. I don't necessarily know if that's the case. We see this all the time, Zach. Anytime there's a regime change, and the Jets are an example of that, the Giants are an example of that, the Eagles are an example. Anytime, usually volley. Like if you have the players coach, the next one's going to be the disciplinarian. And then you go back to the players coach, and then you go to the disciplinarian. And we've seen that from the Jets when they went from Herm Edwards, he was the players coach. Then Mangini, he was the disciplinarian. Then Rex is the players coach. Then Todd, they wanted to bleed between. Then they went the offensive mastermind. Then they went the culture guy. Aaron is definitely conducting a very, very different mood, style, energy absolutely is different. And I think it's because he's ruling right now with an iron fist. I mean, we've seen full tackling for the first time. I can't even remember. I've covered camp since 2014. I don't remember the last time I saw full tackling. I mean, players literally going to the ground, practicing long. The final practice of the day, Zach, we got out there 12:45. We weren't in until 2:45, 2:50. So he's working this. He's grinding these guys down. And it seems like, at least right now, the players have been pretty receptive to the new energy. Again, it's different from Robert. Robert wasn't a bad coach in this. He just took training camp differently. He looked at it as a teaching experience. He looked at it as, let's bring everyone in and have them learn. We don't have to grind them in the ground. That's what the regular season's for. Aaron Glenn's basically like, we're going to build our scars now in August, and there are going to be no scars left to build by the time September rolls around.
The funniest thing about the tackling thing is I've told people this, like if you go to the press conference the first after that first practice where they're tackling, like the way we were asking questions as media, because we hadn't seen that at Jets camp in so long, it was like, so what was this thing you guys were doing, like where you grabbed each other and threw you to the ground? Like is that tackling? Is that what that is? It was just like we had never seen a football practice in our lives. But the reality is, like, the NFL does not have those. And I went to Detroit this summer because I'm working on a story on Glenn, and watched their practices, and their practices were like that. So he comes from a place where it's really intense. And, I get it to a point because I think you've seen a lot of injuries, especially around here when the season comes around, because, they haven't been tackling, or the tackling technique's really poor because you're not getting that physicality in practice, and you're pulling up, you're not hitting the players, you're not tackling the ball carriers, you're not going as hard as you possibly could be. So there's something to be said for it. I wouldn't say it's like the hardest camp ever. Like they still are taking a lot of like walkthrough days, or they've had more walkthrough days, I think, in this camp than any I've covered. But it's all relative. So this has been a physical camp. There has been a lot of guys getting banged up, but for the most part, they're pretty healthy where it matters. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you've covered a lot of coaches here. I'm curious, like what. I wasn't here for like the Adam Gase, the Todd Bowles. I mean, the Gase one was a little different because I guess it was
Weird
COVID.
because COVID.
Um,
Yeah.
but you were here for Bowles too, and I don't know if you were there for before that. Like, what were those? What do you remember about those camps compared to this one? Like, how does
I
this?
was there the last year of Rex, like the very, very tail end of Rex. Like I remember when they traded for Percy Harvin and all that. But I think anyone who's covered the team long term will tell you the same thing, that Rex that final year
Yeah, that was the last time.
was a
Yeah.
shell of what he was. Like he had really been just kind of cut in half from the coach that he was. Todd was at times ramped up and aggressive, then kind of laid back a little bit. His biggest issue was he was a former player and ran camp that way. Like it was more laid back. Adam had Greg Williams, so things were very intense at times there. In fact, I remember Greg Williams literally sending Jordan Jenkins onto the field with the goal to fight Alex Lewis. Like literally, Jordan Jenkins was sent on the field to get in a fight with Alex Lewis, which if any of you Jet fans want to go back to that time, you didn't have to do much to fight Alex Lewis. I mean, that guy literally spent time in jail because he beat the hell out of like a cadet, like or something like that when he was in college. It was wild. And then Robert was what Robert was. Like I don't think Robert like it was a laid back-ish practice. I mean, Brian Dable's practices with the Giants are far more laid back than what Robert Saleh's was. He just, again, he was different. He was not a screamer or yeller. And I remember talking to Robert about this a number of times, Zach, and it was always like, I scream and I yell for the good times. We haven't had a lot of good times for me to scream and yell about. Like, that was his stance. Now, Glenn is clearly like the disciplinarian. He's Parcellsian in that regard. We will see how it ultimately plays out for them.